Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho, and we are back for the 36th chapter of the Exploring the Arsenal series featuring me, Agent Psycho, aka Total Sniper 98. And this time, in this chapter, we're going to be taking a look at the highly anticipated family of submachine guns, and one of the more classic lines of submachine guns that everyone is familiar with and everyone knows and loves. Some of you guys may hate it, but for the most part, everyone loves it. And it's the P90 family. The P90, P90 SE, P90 TR, and the P90 TR SE. So without further ado, let's get this kicked off. Oh, I forgot to mention the P90 TR SE, the Viper's P90 TR. I forgot about that. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty stats of the P90, but before that, let's get into some background information on the P90. The P90 is called the FN P90 in real life. It fires, I believe it fires 5.7, the 5.7 rounds that the 5.7 pistol also fires, so I guess they're kind of companion weapons in that respect. But anyways, in terms of combat arms, it is unlocked at Staff Sergeant 2, and it costs, I believe, 1100 GP a day, so let me check on that really quickly. Yes, indeed, it is 1100 GP a day, so it's one of the pricier submachine guns of the lot, but it is well worth the money that you pay for. So, the damage on the P90 is, whoops, I accidentally paused my preview screen here on my editing software. Anyways, the damage on the P90 is a solid 35. Now, this is one of the, this is kind of like the medium, higher, kind of like the higher medium aspect of submachine guns and combat arms. Obviously, it's not as powerful as other submachine guns like the NX standard submachine guns that have been Nexon has been releasing lately, but it's still pretty powerful for a submachine gun. 35 damage is not something you should take lightly of a submachine gun, so there you have it. Very good for a submachine gun. Portability, it is at a 73, so it's not exactly your fastest submachine gun, but it is definitely faster than most assault rifles you do normally use anyway. So for a submachine gun, this is pretty average, pretty moderate, so nothing too special going on with the portability on the P90 there. Moving on to the rate of fire, the rate of fire is at an 82. Now, keep in mind that the 82 rate of fire is shared by, I believe it's shared by the M249 Para and some of the other slower firing submachine guns. So, clearly, Nexon intends the P90 to be categorized as a high damage but a rather slower firing submachine gun. So, there you have it there. Accuracy wise, the accuracy on the P90 is at a 67, so I want to say it's higher than average for accuracies as far as submachine guns are concerned, but to me it's still pretty average anyway. But the accuracy while scoped in, because the P90 does have its own unique integrated scope, or as some of you may call it, sight. Don't be so anal about it, but whatever. When you aim down its sights on the P90, the accuracy is actually pretty good. You can definitely tap fire people from far away, but because it is a submachine gun, your damage drop-off is going to be pretty terrible at range, so you should stick to just close quarters or medium range combat. But if in the case that you do need to take out someone at long range because the P90 is your only option of doing so, then it's perfectly fine to go ahead and try to take them out with the P90, because the accuracy is very good on the P90 in terms of like long range capabilities go. Recoil wise, recoil is actually pretty high on the P90 at 72. I believe most other submachine guns have lower recoil than this. Did I say accuracy? I don't know. But the recoil is pretty high for the P90. Once again, it does have a 72 recoil, so you may want to be careful of that. However, this only pertains to its spread. The spread is actually it enlarges very quickly, but the thing about the P90 spread is that it spreads out quickly, but it doesn't enlarge, it doesn't have a maximum, it doesn't have that big of a maximum spread. So, compared to my most recent CZ Scorpion Evo E3A1, whatever that submachine gun's name is, I mentioned there that this recoil spread could get very out of hand with the CZ Scorpion. The same almost goes true with the P90, except only the hipfire enlargement part. The maximum spread is nowhere near the CZ Scorpions, in my opinion, anyway. So that's where they kind of differ there. So the P90 technically has a really big recoil statistic, but in terms of practicality, at medium range and close range, you don't really need to worry about the recoil at all. So there you have it. Recoil Spread, I covered that. Recoil Kickback. As for the kickback, per shot, it's not even noticeable, but as you use up more and more of your magazine while you're firing at people, you will tend to notice that the kickback on the P90 will sometimes throw your aim off. It may kind of throw your aim off in that the kickback, like the recoil pattern that your P90 takes you, like left to right. Because how the P90's recoil works is that it typically centers around the middle. Like, in other words, it kicks around like in a circle generally. So if you were to consider the recoil in like a general aspect, then the P90 would have very amiable recoil. That's one of the reasons why the P90 is so popular, because it's very, very noob friendly in terms of how its recoil performs. But the recoil kickback is still there, and you may want to be careful of that when you're trying to spray people down, especially at medium range, because the kickback, the pattern of the P90's kickback can kind of tilt your aim off to the side a little bit and cause you to miss some bullets, but other than that, you should be fine. Moving on to the overall recoil controllability. So the recoil controllability on the P90 is very, very easy. This is one of the main reasons why the P90 line of submachine guns is very, very popular in combat arms, or amongst the combat arms players in combat arms. Let's see how many times I can say combat arms in 1 minute. That's one of the reasons why it's so famous and so widely used. And yeah, it's very simple to control. It's very simple to control the P90's recoil, and you should definitely take advantage of it. Tapfire Ability. Tapfire Ability on the P90 is actually pretty good for a submachine gun. Like I mentioned before, the accuracy on the P90 over range is very good for a submachine gun as well. So it's like I mentioned before, it's very much worth your time to try to tapfire people down at long range, or range that are kind of outside of the P90's kind of comfort zone. So Tapfire Ability, yes, you can definitely do it, but do keep in mind that the Tapfire Ability on the P90, while your shots while scoped in go directly straight up, if you can easily over Tapfire and cause your bullets to go your scope to go side to side and be all annoying like that. And the thing about the P90's Tapfire Ability is that every time you tapfire a bullet, like when you click, the drift of your scope will take you pretty high up, and the time that it takes for your P90 scope to settle back down can take quite a while. That's the only disadvantage that the P90 has in terms of its tapfire ability. It's time to allow its scope to kind of settle down again can take quite a while. So that's the only disadvantage that I can think of that the P90 has in terms of submachine gun tap firing. So do be careful of that. Moving on to the sprint drawback. Sprint drawback is very quick because it is a submachine gun. Most submachine guns do have a very quick sprint drawback speed, so nothing too special there, nothing you need to worry about. Moving on to the, what's next in line here, draw speed. The draw speed on the P90 is average, a little bit slower than average in my honest opinion, but that's okay. It's perfectly acceptable to begin with, or in my opinion anyway. Moving on to the center speed. The center speed on the P90 is I want to say average, but it feels quick. The reason for that is that the hipfire spread, like I mentioned before, the maximum spread isn't that big on the P90. That's why the center speed on the P90 seems fast, but in reality it feels it's technically, in my opinion, one of these slower centering submachine guns, in my opinion. So take it as you will. The P90 still, the center speed on the P90 isn't something you should worry about too much. Moving on to the, what's next in line here, the reload speed. The reload speed on the P90 is it's pretty I don't want to say pretty fast, but it's quicker than average. In like if you were to take a general look at all the weapons in combat arms, it's on the faster spectrum. But for a submachine gun, it's actually pretty average, if not a little slower than average. But it's not something you should worry about as long as you have at least 3 or 2 seconds to yourself in between gunfights. Moving on to the fire modes. The fire mode, the P90 is only available in one fire mode, and that's fully automatic only. Luck. The P90 is very, very lucky. You can score very, very many headshots with the P90, and that's one of the pros about the P90 is that it is very prone to picking up lottos, especially at long range. I don't know. To me anyway, it feels like the P90 gets me lots of lottos at long or medium to long range. So I don't know. It's just kind of like a funny quirk that I've noticed. whenever I use the P90. Ammo capacity. Now this is where the P90 really suffers. The P90 only has a total ammo capacity of 100 bullets total. In other words, you have 2 magazines of 50 rounds each. Now you can think of this. God damn it! You can think of this as a advantage or a disadvantage. Grammar. Anyways, the P90 has very large magazines in the respect that it has 50 bullets per magazine. Now that's very big. That's what she said. In terms of like per magazine ammo capacity. However, it's not very much at all, because you'll find that even though it does have a slower than usual rate of fire for a submachine gun, you'll burn through your ammo very quickly. And just 2 magazines, it's just not enough for the P90. But that's unfortunately one of the main drawbacks of the P90, the fact that you only start with 100 bullets total, 2 magazines of 50 rounds each. Prepare to either make sure to bring a backup weapon into your games when you use a P90, or prepare to pick up a lot of people's guns off the ground, because the P90 is definitely going to burn through your ammo a lot. Moving on to the key physical characteristics. The P90 is a very uniquely designed submachine gun. I mean, it's been around for quite some time. In real life, its design is very old as well. I think it's at least it's 5 years old. That's definitely what I can say for sure. But how it looks like is that I don't know, it has these weird finger grooves where your hands would go in order to hold the P90, and it's got a helical I don't want to call it a helical magazine, but the magazine is inserted through the top of the gun instead of the conventional bottom of the gun. It doesn't really have a holster, but I mean, take it as you will. It's a very ergonomic design. It's modeled after it's basically a personal defense weapon, like a PDW design. So that's why it looks like really unconventional in terms of like weaponry and modern weaponry, but it's meant to be like CQC oriented, obviously. So that's why it's so weird in its design, I guess, for lack of a better term. But the key physical characteristics, if you see a P90, you'll never forget what it looks like. So anyways, moving on to the muzzle noise. Muzzle noise on the P90 is a very low frequency noise. It's very low, and whereas it's on the less than loud side, but it's still definitely noticeable at medium range. But beyond that, you won't be able to hear the P90 at all. So the P90 is still you don't need a silencer for it at all. That's my honest opinion. Moving on to the attachment options. The attachment options on the P90, you can only attach suppressors onto P90. I mean, obviously you can't attach an extended magazine because that'd be OP. You can't attach a scope because the P90 already comes with an integrated scope to begin with. In fact, its scope is unique. So enjoy it if you ever do buy the P90. Moving on to whether or not it's fireteam worthy. I would not say it's fireteam worthy at all, because unfortunately submachine guns in themselves are not very good at taking down zombies, and on top of that, it's no matter what fireteam you play, its ammo capacity is just way too low, and I do not recommend it at all. You're gonna either prepare to pick up lots and lots of ammo packs, or just bring another gun entirely. The P90 will just not cut it, because you're just gonna find yourself just running out of ammo too many times. Moving on to whether or not it's quarantine worthy. There are better submachine guns for quarantine than the P90, but if you do feel so inclined, I guess you can use it. Now, moving on to my frank personal opinions, the P90 submachine gun family is one of the best submachine guns in combat arms. It is without a doubt one of the best, and because of a few characteristics that it holds. First of all, is because of its very large magazines. You can very easily get many accolades with the P90 because of its very large, very spacious 50 round capacity magazine. However, on top of that, or at the same time, you'll find yourself running out of ammo a lot of times, because it only has 2 magazines, and there's only so much you can do with just 2 magazines with the P90. So do be careful of that. And going down the list of its pros and cons here, like I mentioned before, it's got very large magazines. Also, its recoil spread, its recoil, all aspects about this recoil is very good. It's very noob friendly, and on top of coupled with its rather slow rate of fire, this makes it perfect, because the rate of fire, although it's not very fast, it'll allow people to control their recoil a lot better and a lot more efficiently, because I mean, if you got higher rate of fire, obviously you won't be able to control your bullets as well as you would. So there you go. The P90 is very, very effective in that. On top of that, it's got better than average damage as well. So all these factors in mind, the P90 is one very, very deadly package that you can have in your hands. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. This will conclude the P90 review of this will conclude the P90 review. I'm slipping over my words again. I apologize. I'm only Asian. That can't be helped. Anyways, so yeah, this concludes the P90 review. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And in the next review, we'll be going over the next gun in the P90 line of guns called the P90 SE, which is the GP standard, or the GP rare, sorry, not standard, the GP rare variant of the P90. And sometime later today, I'm also going to be uploading the MZP1. So if you guys care to stick around for that review, I will do so as well. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Round start. Round start.
Fire in the hole! Kill. Multi-kill.
Alpha team wins.